guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So I've decided to do a little series on how to program your own games on the Intellivision. So I figured I'm going to break this up into small videos and different kinds of steps because it's a lot to take in, and if I were to just try and do everything in one video, I don't think anybody would really get much out of it unless you already have experience. So we're going to start off saying, this is for the Intellivision, so if you're not familiar with that system, you're probably going to have to go and get familiar with it. I've done a lot of videos on it myself, but I'm assuming that most people that are watching this knows what an Intellivision is and why they want to actually program or what they want to program on it. So I figured the first step is the materials. What you're going to need to start to program your first Intellivision game. And there's a lot of different things that you can use. There's a lot of resources. And you could do it on the cheap. You could do it, you could spend the money. There's different things you can do. So I figured the first thing we're going to talk about, and I've done a video, and I've talked about this book before, and that's the Programming Games for the Intellivision. Now, I've seen this book because I'm frequently on the AtariAge Facebook groups and the Intellivision Facebook groups, and the author, Oscar Toledo G, posted some information on this book. He's the guy who created the programming software that we're going to be using to make these games, and he decided to write some books on it. So he's got this book, and he's got an advanced one, Advanced Programming Games. I only have this book right now. I'm going to be picking up the other one later, but for our purposes right now, this will do. Now, I picked this up because I wasn't 100% sure I would even understand. I took a chance and I said, I'm going to buy this book and give it a shot. In fact, I asked Oscar himself on Facebook, just a little bit of questions about how easy it is to start programming on the system. And I told him I had a little bit of a background in programming. So that'll be, variant on everybody, on how much your experience is on basic programming. If you grew up in the 80s and you had a computer like the Commodore 64, or even the Apple II, or there was a lot, the Atari ST, there was a lot of computers that allow you to do some basic programming, then you might have had some kind of, book or programming games book or something where you actually had to type in your code and you would get a game. And you might have actually understood the language. You might even be an experienced programmer. So your knowledge of BASIC is really going to be dependent. And there is tools out there to help you. There is books out there to help you if you haven't programmed in BASIC before. Even anything like the old computer books, like this one. I picked this one up in, I don't know, I guess the early 2000s. On our computer, on our home computer, we had a QBasic software, and it's to write code in BASIC. And I ended up finding this book in a store, and I grabbed it, and I was able to learn all the code. Essentially, BASIC runs very similar across most systems. There's just a difference in syntax and a few other rules and stuff. But once you learn the basic, how to do some programming, you start to pick it up pretty quickly. So anyways, the other resource I'm going to talk about is the AtariAge website. This has been a gold mine for me because there is a lot of information on there, and there's a lot of people in the same shoes as me who are just starting out, or they've been programming for a little while, they're still learning. A great resource. So my first recommendation is to get on the AtariAge website, create yourself an account, and once you're in there, you can go into the forums section, and I know it's an Atari-based website, but they actually talk about pretty much every other classic console out there. And so once you get to the homepage of the forums, you can scroll down. You see all the Atari games up at the top, obviously, but if you scroll down, you'll see classic consoles, Intellivision programming. And this is also important too, because this is what you're going to get the software that you're going to need to actually start compiling your code. So you only need this software and Notepad on your computer to start writing code and translating it into something the Intellivision can understand. You don't need any physical hardware either. You can run this entirely off your PC. So if you have a PC or a Mac, you can just put the software on there, write the code, and see the game appear on your computer. Now there is ways to get it onto cartridges and stuff, but we're going to talk about that later. So if you go down, you'll see there's a very important thread here. It says by NanoChess. That is Oscar, his I guess handle, and he made this nice thread that he has pinned at the top here, and it explains everything about what IntelliBasic is, and it gives you links to get the most recent version of it. And of course, he threw in you can get the books here. This is where I came and I got the book. I went to his store, I guess, on lulu.com, and was able to purchase it. He also sells it on Amazon. And if you don't want to buy the book, which I recommend getting a physical copy, I prefer physical over virtual, but you can also get a PDF if you want to save some money. And then the more important tools are down here, where it says Tools. IntelliBasic SDK. So this is what you're going to need. So you're going to click on this link. And there's a lot of tools here. You'll see there was a lot of other links there. And again, it's a little bit overwhelming. So, I'll probably cover some of those later on. And so what you're going to need, this kind of explains what this all is, what the SDK thing is. So you're just going to be interested in downloading the package, which if you scroll down, you'll see here, download. So there's the Mac version, there's the PC version. So you just simply download it to your computer. I think it's an executable, and then you get everything pretty much in the package. So I'm going to jump over to the package so we can take a look. Okay, so I have the folder open here. So you can see it unloads all this stuff, or unpacks all this stuff onto your computer. And so you have a backups folder, a bin folder, contributions, documents, examples. So all these things are there to help you out. And then there's the actual, if you go into or scroll down, I should say, you have the command console. Now this is where you're going to actually compile your code. Once it's written on your notepad, and then you're ready to actually get it to compile, which means turn it into something the computer will understand or the Intellivision will understand, you'll run it through this console, which again I will talk about later on because we're getting into DOS and stuff. Now it's not too difficult, don't worry about that if you're not into DOS, neither am I. I literally just go by the commands that I've learned in this book. You really only need to know a couple of lines and you're done. So don't worry about knowing DOS, you don't have to do that. So in here, you'll actually see all my programs that I've been working on. Some of these are the ones that I've actually typed out from the book. So the other thing is the way this book is designed is he runs step by step through creating your first game. So you might want to start on page 1 and work your way through it, typing out the codes and kind of exploring exactly what they're doing and how they're working. So I've written out some of the ones that were in this book to start me out. And then once I started to get a grasp for it, because I have a background in basic programming, I started to click in and get it. And so let's go to there's hello.bas. So the .bas is the extension. So when you go to save this, create this in your notepad, typically when you save a notepad file, it's .txt. So you would end up saving it as a .bas. And we can actually pull up this program and I can show you the little inner workings. It's a very small program. It's actually in this book. It'll show you what you're going to get. Before that though, I'm going to show you the bin folder. This is where you would store your games. And this is the emulator here, the JZINTV. This is what makes it work on your computer. So this is an important application to have there. It should be all in this package. There's some files I don't know if exec bins and grom bins, if those are included. I can't remember when I installed it, but if you run into problems, like I said, the forum, get on there, people will help you. And then this is the ROMs folder. This is where all the games are actually stored. So once you've programmed a game, or put the game through your compiler, it creates a .rom or .bin, and that's what's going to end up the game you're going to be able to play. So let's just jump into a very quick small snippet of code just to round this video off. Okay, so we got our code up here. Now this isn't very exciting, I know, but this is your very typical, if you've ever gone through any programming tutorial, this is a very typical hello world scenario where you just create a program that types out hello world on the screen. And once you do that, you compile it, you run it, you'll get the screen saying hello world. And this is done with 2 lines of code here. As you can see, it doesn't require anything else. Literally, you just open up your text, your notepad, and you start coding. You don't have to do anything else. Once you're done, you run it through the compiler. That does all the work. And so what this code is doing, it's a very simple line of print. Print at, so it's going to print the code, whatever's in the bracket, in the quotes, at 0, which is, imagine your screen being a grid. The very top right, left-hand corner is 0. So that's where it's going to print. Color is 7, so there's a little color palette that you can actually learn about. 0 being black, all the way up to 7 being white. And then hello world is there. That's what's going to print out on the screen. And then we got well1.wend is just a kind of a loop piece of software, or a piece of code that'll just continuously loop. So it'll just keep reading the print sign, so it's just going to sit there saying hello world. And that is it. I mean, I'm going to obviously get into some more complicated stuff, but I just wanted to run through mostly the materials you're going to need. And, let's start this off easy and slow. So you can kind of go to the videos you need, or you can watch everything you want, everything at once, and kind of pick it up from the very beginning. Anyways, hope you liked the video. This was just a very quick stuff you're going to need to get going. If you have any questions, put it down below. And like I said, get on the forum. Even go on the Facebook groups. There's a Intellivision homebrew page you can actually go to. There's a lot of resources out there that will help you through this adventure that you're about to go on. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.